Hey, it's Justin, Severed Books. We're back with one cover, one page. First, I want to thank my buddy Andrew Tiger Wizard from Epic Levels for sending me a microphone. Look at this. Very, very cool. Man, it was a surprise. I love you. Thank you so much. You're super sweet. You're just the best. So hopefully you guys can hear me a lot better now. But yeah, one cover, one page. We are going to cover a strange RPG video game from my past. I'm trying to go chronologically as best I can to sort of tell my creative life story through these products, these things. But we are going to flip flop timeline wise because I know I want to talk about more modern stuff. To keep y'all interested, to keep me interested too, because I don't want to talk about the past. Honestly, I think nostalgia is toxic for creativity, and I want nothing to do with that. So, yeah, super Hydlide, as you can tell from the image on this video. That's what we're going to talk about. What a weird game. What a strange game. Oh my god. But yeah, let's get into it. One cover, one page. That's all we got time for. Boom. That hit so hard it moved the camera. What in the world? Super highlight. That's what you get, man, with this wacky game. Oh man. So yeah, this game came out. I remember like a little bit later in my Sega Genesis obsession. I had already played. Of course, like NES on NES, like Ultima and Zelda, and some of the lighter action-based RPGs. So I think this might have been like the first action RPG that had elements of like encumbrance, hunger, exhaustion, currency, and like darkness, like torches in it. So like. Like thinking about this earlier. It's almost like it's very like a roguelike, almost ShadowDark OSR experience. And at the time that I was playing it, it was kind of perfect for me. Very slow, very tedious, super punishing. There's also like there's some broken parts of it too. Like you can honestly like accidentally throw essential items away and totally screw yourself in the game, which is stupid of the developers, but it's cool as hell. It's super cool. The graphics are terrible. See on the back, you can I kind of love this design actually. You can see a little bit of the crusty, very, very pixelated graphics. And like not for Turbo Graphics, for Sega Genesis, like it doesn't even look 16-bit. Kind of looks like an old 8-bit game with some sophisticated mechanics. Oh, sophisticated for the time. Man, look at there's so much dust on the top of this thing. Man, look at that. Good grief. So yeah, this game. Let's look at the cover. This channel, this episode, whatever, playlist. I don't even know what to call it. This series is called One Cover, One Page. So let's look at the cover. I actually really love this cover. Not a fan of boxes inside boxes. I always talk about that as a designer, like full bleed. Like this is already a square or a rectangle. I don't love it when you're putting a frame inside a frame. But here it works. It looks like a classic design, and I guess that's what they were going for. But you have the hero in profile, and you have the fairy or sprite on his shoulder, and that's a essential part of the story. Story in very loose sense, but it's cool. It's a cool image. I think like when I was a kid at the time, it really grabbed my attention, and of course it was a fantasy RPG, so I absolutely had to have it. The logo is a little... it's actually really difficult to read looking at it now. But yeah, it's super. It's not just crappy old Hydlide. It's the super Hydlide. But yeah, really cool cover. I like this kind of like muddy color in the background because it draws your attention to the two figures. Um, and they're also like staring off into the distance at something probably ominous. You know, the fairy is like, hey, dude, look over there, and you're like, oh god, really? We gotta take on this adventure and worry about being hungry and over encumbered the entire time. Um, but yeah, very rad. And I think, I've made this point before, like in that video game column that I used to write. Like these games, because the story was so thin, and you had so much, I don't want to say downtime, but you had so much time traversing the landscape and grinding out levels, killing the same enemy over and over and over, listening to the same background music. Your mind would wander, your brain would fill in the blanks, and that's really one of the things I miss about modern games that spell it out for you. Um, like imagine you're playing God of War and the story's great, the graphics are amazing, everything is there for you because that's their job. They're making a AAA amazing experience, but there's no room for your imagination to insert your own narrative. And that's what these old games, by default, because there was they were limited to what they could do, your brain literally fills in the narrative blanks. So I remember as I was slaying monsters and trying to get gold and experience and level up and get new equipment, kid Justin, teenager, is creating a story in my head of what my character, what my intentions are, what my motivation is, what the tension is. And that's where I think that I was allowed to become a creative person, a creative thinker and storyteller through these slow, grinding games. Really strange to think about. And it's something that it still exists like in Dark Souls and in Elden Rings. That sort of still exists, but not in the same way. This is almost like a meditative experience when you're simply moving around really slow, chopping up pixelated dudes, and thinking of the story in your brain. So that's really my 2 cents for this, and how I think it was really formative for my growth. So one cover, one page. That's all we got time for. Let's crack this thing open because it's not a book. This is a cartridge case, and man, boom! We got the cartridge, same cover. We got the booklet, same cover, of course. Really cool setup. And looking through this, I found it has a pretty robust guide with like full bleed. It's black and white. It looks really cool. Let me turn it so you can actually see it. Really, this is kind of neat looking. But the one page I really liked when I was younger was the 4 classes that you could be. Very, very kind of stereotypical warrior, thief, priest, and monk. So those were the classes you could choose from, and you could name your character like a typical RPG. And really, it's just enough to put your imagination in there, and as I said before, as you're walking around and doing your thing in the game, you feel like you feel like an actual, like almost like a tabletop RPG character. I absolutely love that, man. Like being able to insert yourself, your own creativity into a game is why I do what I do. So yeah, super Hydlide. I don't recommend playing this. If you can find an emulator where it's sped up or something, you can check it out, or just watch a speed run on YouTube. It is wicked cool, wicked strange. There's outer space elements in it. There's freaking spaceships and stuff, which I thought was really confusing as a young person. But yeah, super Hydlide. Give your brain space to be creative. Like that's what these old games do. All right. This book is rad, man. They even like I know the hook is one cover, one page, but there's like weapons. They even took the time to put some like creatures in here. How rad is that? I haven't looked at this little book in like 30 years. Anyway, one cover, one page. Like and subscribe if you dig it. Again, Andrew, Tiger Wizard, thank you so much for this microphone. I'm not a tech guy. With Severed Books, I do everything. I do the writing, the drawing, marketing, website, literally everything but the editing and stuff like that, or proofing. So I'm winging it half the time, and Andrew, I got teary when I opened up this package. I'm serious. Like, thank you. But guys, next time, I don't remember what the next one's going to be, but they're all fun, I hope. And stay creative. Love y'all. See ya.